Hello there, Shannon here with the Everyday Priestess, bringing a little more sword magic into your day. Happy Sunday. So today I want to take things a little slow. So this is a second sort of introductory class where we're going to talk about what kind of swords to use. We're going to talk about the planes of movement, and we're going to get into a little bit of sword anatomy and a little care in handling. So let's start off with what kind of swords to use. I use a scimitar, characterized by its curved blade. Because of my background as a belly dancer, that's what I started dancing with, and that's how I created the sword magic format. But you can use literally almost anything. You can use a scimitar if you have one. You could make a scimitar shaped sword out of cardboard. You could use a broom handle. You could use a broadsword. You could use a dagger. You could use a butter knife. Literally anything that is sort of longish, 20 to 30 inches is an ideal length for this style, but you can play around with these movements using something smaller too, and it could be equally potent and beautiful. So it's sort of up to you. Try using different things. If you have questions, please ask me. I love questions. Questions are always welcome. So I'm going to introduce you to my swords. We're probably only we're going to stick with single sword for a while. We may get into double sword way down the line, but for now we're going to stick with single sword. So this is the sword you're going to see most often. This is Vala. She is my right hand sword maiden. And then I have Hope, who is my left hand sword maven. Sometimes I use Hope because she doesn't get as dirty. Vala is forged out of steel, and it's exposed steel, so my fingerprints over time, even though I wipe it down, and we'll get into that, tend to oxidize. So she's a little dirty. So let me tell you about her anatomy. Some of it will cross over to other swords, other blades, especially the stuff in this area. So you've got your pommel, which is the butt end of the sword. You've got your grip or your handle. You have the cross guard or quillion. And typically right after the quillion is a little flat bit, you can see there, called the ricasso. And then immediately following the ricasso is the cutting edge or the beveled edge. And then we have the point. And then on this sword, because she's a scimitar, we have the recurve. And because she is a single-sided cutting-edged sword, we will also have a spine. So where the cutting edge is beveled, the spine is flat. So it enables you to balance it on your hand or on your head or in your toes or on your shoulder or on your hip or chest or chin or wherever you want to balance the sword. And then, of course, we have the flat of the blade, which we always want to keep awareness on the flat, and then for safety on the point, and of course the cutting edge too, depending on whether you're dancing with a sword that is really sharp or not. I recommend, if you are new to this style of movement and you have a really sharp sword, start practicing with something that's not quite so sharp. But I also want to give just a little FYI that no matter what, to remember that even though we're doing things for healing and positive outcomes and things like that, and weapons have a negative connotation, we're still dancing with weapons. These are still swords. Their original their original intention was to be used for violence. But we're taking that energy and transforming it and transmuting it into something beautiful. That being said, they are still sharp and pointy, and they will stab you and poke you and make you bleed. This is something that is a normal part of sword dance. So don't be freaked out if it happens. Don't feel like you did anything wrong, because you didn't. I still cut myself. Belladonna still cuts herself. We are dancing with blades. You're going to cut yourself. It's okay. Just make sure you've got a first aid kit nearby. And the other thing I'll say is that when you're practicing with your blade, especially in the beginning, when you're like getting used to it, make sure that your dance area is free of living creatures besides yourself. So pets, children, plants are okay. They don't tend to sneak up behind you. But that brings me to another point, is make sure that you've cleared the way of, cleared away any fragile things that you, like, you know, your antique Ming vase. Maybe move that away from your dance area until you're finished. Anything that's really, that you'd be really worried about or bummed if you knocked it over and broke it, just move it out of the way. Because especially as we're learning something new with an object that's longer than our limbs, it can be hard to focus on more than one thing at a time, right? So you're going to be focused on following me in the video, not necessarily on your surroundings. So making sure that your surroundings are sword safe before you begin is a good rule of thumb. Even as an advanced dancer, you get into what you're doing and you're not paying attention to the fact that there's a cat walking behind you. They're lovely creatures, but they are also trip hazards. So just watch out for that. The other thing I want to talk about is finding a place of honor for your special dance friend. So rather than propping it up in a corner with your umbrella and your walking sticks, having a place of honor, like in a holder. Here, I'll show you mine. I also, when I was living with my dad, I had him install some hooks on the wall. So, oh, well, there's no swords in it, so it's hard to see. Pardon my mess. But you can see I have a rack here that I put my swords in when I'm not using them. And there are multiple reasons for this. One is nobody sticks baby in a corner. You want to make sure that your friend has a place of honor to hang out while she's waiting to hang out with you, or they, or he. The other thing is that from this moment forward, your dancing sword is now going to be an athame. It's going to be your dance partner. You want to treat it with respect, because the energy that we show these tools, these friends, is the same energy we put into our own practice. So if we're not respecting our tools, then we're not respecting our practice, and we're not respecting ourselves. So it goes really deep. So showing the respect of giving it a place of honor is a really good thing to do. I would also say that propping it up in a corner over time will warp the blade. So what you want to do when you're storing your sword is either store it flat in a case that is hard, so that if you put stuff on top of it, it's not gonna, the weight isn't gonna be on the blade, because you can see that if there was weight put here and not here, that over time this might start to do that, right? So there's that aspect of it too. If you're going to hang it, it's good to have like 2 points along the spine, or like a guitar. Okay, shift my camera over a little bit, pretending my hand is the hooks. So you hang it just like that on the quillion. So it just hangs on your wall. The other nice thing about hanging it versus having it in a case, if you have the wall space for it, or having it on a rack like I do, is that whenever you feel inspired to dance with your sword or do a movement, play with some movement or what have you, you can just grab it really easily. You don't have to pull it out from under your bed and open the case and la la la. And the less obstacles you can put between you and your dance practice, specifically in this course, you and your sword dance practice, the better. Because we're all busy. None of us have enough free time. So the less steps to the actual dancing part you have, the better. Okay, so let's talk about planes. The plane in front of you and the plane behind you. These are called wall plane, and you'll hear me refer to them as such when we're moving through space together. And I will remind you of all of this. I'm giving you a lot of information all at once, just to sort of plant little seeds. And then when we start going, things will start to hopefully sprout. So we got wall plane. And then we have wheel plane, which is like if you're driving a vehicle, it's your wheels, right? So wheel plane's on the side. And then we have ceiling plane and floor plane. So why is this relevant? Let me show you. So my teacher, Belladonna Bohem, who created, there's a quarter on my foot. She created the Bohemian Blade program, which is where I get a lot of my training from. She also created a whole system of power poses, of which we will use some. So let's just start with, one of my favorites. This is Persephone. So Persephone is, halfway over your head. You're propping it with your left hand and holding the hilt in your right hand. Here, I'll mirror you. This is Persephone. And you want to make sure that when you're in this position, that the flat of the blade is on wall plane. Because if it's just slightly off, it feels different. It feels so much more powerful. It feels like it's clicking into place to bring it forward so it can be seen. Whether it's seen by an audience or by a camera or by your cat, there is an energetic difference. And we will go over that over time. So making sure that you're aware of the planes, wall plane, wheel plane, floor ceiling plane, as you're moving through space with your blade is going to be much more impactful. So you can boom, 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 boom. Have it be really obvious. Boom. Yeah? So that's what I have for you today. We're going to get into those movements next time. We're going to go nice and slow. We'll start with the very basics and then we're going to build up. So thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to dance with you. I hope this information was helpful. Please let me know if you have questions. Again, I'm just planting seeds. I do not expect this to be memorized. I will repeat this information over and over again. I just wanted to get it all out in one video so that you have this as a reference point. So have a great week and I will see you next time. Mwah.